But, it should be good to go. Hopefully.
Whenever you're ready, man.
We'll have to see.
Whenever you're ready.
Alright. So, I wasn't even on the right screen. So, I start timing in this game kind of weird, but I'm just going to do it somewhat normally, since I don't even start runs on this track. So, let's go. 3, 2, 1. Oh, that made a sound. I don't know what that sound was, but it made a sound. Anyway, so, there are basically 3 modes of driving in this game. There's max speed, which is like traditional, there's snaking, and there's space flying. So I'm going to do snaking, which is kind of weird, and let's see, so basically, there's a weird physics in this game where if you strafe left or right, you can gain a lot of speed. So, we're going to use that. And it's very loud on the controller, so I do apologize about that. Alright. So I'm gonna go for something kind of risky at the very end. It saves about no time, but it looks cool as hell, so let's go for it. Maybe. Might not work. I could try. Nah. Ah! Okay, no. Oh, God! So basically what you can do there is, you can do something called a suicide finish, which I kind of did, but it didn't actually finish. And basically you die, and your dead body will fly through the finish goal, and it'll basically finish the track for you. It saves a little bit of time on certain tracks, like this one. It's not a huge time saver. That method, at least. There's a bunch of different methods you can use, but some you can save like a couple seconds for. I'll only be using it really on one track. And after that launch, right there, you can see me do like kind of like a drift. That's called an MTS. And basically what you do is you turn off the engine, so the accelerator, and you strafe one way. And you can get a lot of speed with this, especially with snaking. Unfortunately, since in order to snake, that was a little bit better. You have to have max acceleration, so there are 2 settings in this game, max speed and max acceleration. And in order to snake, you need to be on max acceleration, which is kind of inconvenient for certain things. Like, if you want to get a high speed, it's hard to maintain that with max acceleration, since you lose that speed a lot faster. But something like MTSing, like, through a turn is much easier, especially with the vehicle I'm using. So, only a couple vehicles in this game can actually snake. There are pretty much 2 or 3 non-custom that can snake. The best one is Black Bull. And I don't use them in any runs, I just use custom vehicles. Like, mainly I'll use this guy right here, this is Tornado Condor V2. And in a couple tracks, I'll use Omega Galen V2, but I'll get into that later. So this track is kind of difficult to try to hit all the boost plates on it, especially through this narrow passageway. And there's a cool jump you can do. Basically, if you're going fast enough, you'll fling off. And with max speed, it's kind of hard to land that, since you'll use Fat Shark on this track. And I kind of struggle with it. I'm not very good at max speed. But with snaking, it's pretty much impossible not to make the jump. But knowing me, I'll miss it. Which is kind of convenient, that it's really easy. That's because with this vehicle, since it's so light, it can strafe through the air pretty well. And stuff like that. So that was actually, even though I hit a bunch of walls, that was kind of a good time, since it's really hard not to hit a wall. Just because of the nature of snaking, since you're constantly going left and right. It's really hard to avoid certain things like that. So, this game starts off with Ruby Cup. This is a pretty easy cup. Then after this is Sapphire, also pretty easy. And then Emerald, which is really hard. Diamond, which is basically impossible. And then AX, which is doable. So, when I do attempts for like a PB, I'll do Diamond Cup first because it has some of the hardest tracks. And Ruby Cup, I mean, I know I failed the easiest track in this game because of the suicide finish, but it's actually a pretty easy cup. This track you can fly off of fairly easily, just because there's a part that's hooked and curved at the very end, and its elevation changes. I'll be able to show it off a little bit easier when I get to it. And you can fly off pretty easily. So right around here, it's kind of awkward to snake through. Even though in theory it shouldn't be that bad, but just because of the way that the ground is structured. And you can fly off right there. As you saw, I kind of flew off a little bit. In the world record, on the third lap, since you're going so fast through there, you can actually do like a jump. I can't do it very well. So like I was saying with MTSs earlier, it's kind of hard to maintain a fast speed outside of an MTS. So one of the benefits is you get a lot of speed, but you lose it after exiting it. Well, I kind of used that there. So I didn't use that MTS there to inherently gain much speed, but I used it to lose speed, because if I'm going too fast through that turn, I'll fly off. And I really only use that technique in this track and Casino Palace Double Branch, because I want to lose speed there, actually. And with Double Branch, that'll be very pertinent. Just because if you're going too fast, you're gonna die. Alright. And on this next track, you can also fly off relatively easily, but we'll have to see. So like I mentioned earlier, how there are a couple non-custom vehicles that can snake. With Black Bolt, when I'm doing regular PB attempts, on the first track, as you saw, I use Omega Condor. Well, in PB attempts, I'll actually use Black Bolt. Not because, you know, he's better, but because it takes 2 seconds, roughly, to open up the garage to get to your custom vehicles, and then select that and switch to your max acceleration. Whereas with non-custom vehicles, you save your settings, basically. So it does save a little bit of time using Black Bull on a track like Mute City Twist Road, which is the first track I did, because, you know, he's only like about a second slower, and since he saves 2 seconds with inventory, like going from one track to another. So right here, I can't really snake through that little section because it's hard to tell, but the track is actually like pointed. So towards the middle, it's higher elevation, and right down here is lower elevation than on the sides. And then when going through this loop, since this loop's at like almost a 90-degree angle, you can do an MTS through there. It's kind of weird. I can do one through here too as well, but it's not as useful. Unless you're going very, very fast. So for whatever reason, you can MTS through something like that, and you won't hit the wall until you're MTSing through there for a couple seconds. So that's why I break off earlier than it looks like I should. So like, right about now is when I would hit the wall and kind of fly off a little bit. And, like, I don't fly off the track, but I do lose a little bit of time. So I try to MTS through there as much as I can. And then right here, I don't boost for a little while, because if I do that through there, that was very ambiguous. If I boost through a turn, you get a lot more speed. And I want to manage my energy as much as possible. And you can also get a shift boost, which basically means you fly off the track for about a frame or two, and you land back on. For whatever reason, the game gives you a lot of speed. And I won't really be going for shift boost too much. It's more prevalent with max speed. Since, like I said, with max acceleration, you lose speed so much faster. And it's also just, in general, not worth it. Because you can just snake instead of get a shift boost, which is really risky to do. You can kind of get a shift boost on this track. I'll show you where. And it's really useful for snaking, because you get a lot of height off of this jump. But the only track I really go for shift boosts are is Sand Ocean Lateral Shifts and Firefield Undulation, which are 2 tracks right back to back. Very difficult and annoying tracks. I don't like them very much. So that turn is really annoying to go through, and you can get a shift boost right there, which saves a little bit of time, but the main shift boost is right here. It's kind of a shift boost, I can't really tell. Right there. As you see, I exited there with a lot more speed than I feel like I should have. And right here, so, like I was saying in the last track, how you can MTS through basically a 90-degree wall. Well, it has to be basically 90, like that wall is 90 degrees, and you can't MTS through it. So that kind of shows, like, what angle you're looking for. There's only a couple places you can do it in this game. Mute City Twist Road is one of the places you can do it. I used to do it on that track. I don't know why I really stopped. It's not really worth it. And then Casino Palace Double Branch. So in max speed, there are a bunch of mines there, and it's actually faster to hit those, mines, because it gives you a lot of speed. For whatever reason, if you like hit a mine and you're holding the accelerator button for just a couple frames, then you let go instantly, you get a lot of speed. I will be going for 1 mine boost in this run. And not because I want to get the speed from it, just because I want to get the mine out of the way for a later lap. So I do try to avoid it here. Alright, there we go. I finally got a rail slide. That took a while. What's up, Yunus? So, it only took 5 tracks to get one. Basically, I MTS'd into a rail, and that basically gives you an infinite MTS. And you can go up to about 4K. And I did not mean to do that. Basically, you only do that at the end of the track, because exiting an MTS is... MTRS, rather, is really hard. And... is rarely ever used. In snaking, you can use it a little bit more, but with max speed, like, there are only a select few places you can actually use it. It depends on the dynamics of the track itself. Usually if the track hooks left, and you're already MTSing into the left wall, you'll use it then, just because it automatically breaks you off. So this track has a very interesting suicide finish, which I've gotten exactly 0 times. And I'm definitely not going to go for it. But this track has that turn right there, which I lucked out. Alright. So for a reason, the ceiling isn't solid. It's not faster to do that, but I do that just to show off. I don't know why the ceiling's not solid. This wall right here is also not solid. And you can clip through all these walls here, too. So basically how the suicide finish works is... I want to use up all my energy. I would have too much energy to really be able to go for it now. But you would boost right about here and slam into that wall there, and it'll launch you all the way to the end. And I've gotten it never. It saves a lot of time, which is kind of unfortunate. The other big blue track has a very nice suicide finish as well. This next track has something kind of interesting. It's one of my favorite tracks. Not because... or, I don't know what I'm saying. Basically, I'm going to use a different vehicle. And it's got a very cool mechanic on this track. So instead of using a Mega Condor, I'm going to use a Mega Gallant. And the reason for that is, there's a kind of controversial technique in this game called side attacking. A lot of older runners don't use them, mainly the Japanese community. But I do because I like side attacking and they're fun. I don't know why they don't use it. The main reason is they started speedrunning before side attacks were found, so they said, hey, let's not side attack. I don't know. That's the logic. But I use them because they're fun. And I use this vehicle because it benefits much more from side attacks. So Omega Condor, the other vehicle I was using, is very, very light. And basically when you're in the air and side attacking, you gain a lot of height, which is kind of bad, actually. I will use that a little bit, but, like, use the height abuse, but it's generally not worth it, because I want to get on the ground as fast as possible. Like, you can do a lot of crazy stuff. So that brings me back to the point I made earlier. There are 2 main types of playing of this game. There's max speed and then snaking. But there's also space flying, which basically what you do is you use a very light vehicle and you set yourself to max acceleration. And whenever you enter, like, the air, if you're, like, strafing into it, for whatever reason you'll fly up into the air and you'll infinitely gain height. So you can kind of see that with Condor. And I do abuse that on one track, although it technically does, it goes against the rule set. So, like, I use it in runs, because I make the rules. I'm not going to make this. Oh, okay, we're good. Because I'm the only one that runs this category. But for the leaderboards, I'm not allowed to use that technique. Basically, the rules is, whoa, okay. That was lucky. You're allowed to enter the sky, holding an angle, but you're not allowed to change it more than once. And that basically prohibits you from space flying and utilizing that. So, like, even though Condor technically can spacefly, I can't use its ability because, well, for one, it's not permanent enough, and 2, I can't change directions, so I can't really go anywhere. So now we're back to Condor. And I think I've realized I've been calling this Omega Condor this whole time. This is Tornado Condor. I used to use Omega Condor, but that thing sucked, in retrospect. It just had a different cockpit, which changed the grip, so the grip sucked. So this thing's a little bit more easy to control, and it doesn't require hacking. So, with GX, there's, I think, 12 AX parts, so they borrowed them from F-Zero AX. And the idea was you're supposed to get them by winning competitions, but I'm pretty sure they only happen in Japan. So it's kind of annoying. So what we do is we just hack them in. Oh, geez. And they give... So on Omega Gauntlet, that cockpit that I had is cheated in. You can just use a cockpit I have on this vehicle right now. It's not as good, but... oh well. Alright, so hitting this energy is like kind of hard because of how narrow it is. It's easier on the other energy strip. Oh geez. So I didn't snake through there because of the fact that it's hard to tell, but this track is actually curved just like Lucross, where the middle is kind of bulging out. And basically, if you're going up at all, your snaking is very hindered. Ah, shit. Okay. And if I snake right through there, I'll also fly off if I'm going too fast. Wow, that was pretty good. That's a really hard track to do. Like, it looks easy because all it is just a twisted ring. So in theory, it shouldn't be too bad, but it's bad. Alright, so this next track, I kind of have a world record on. It's completely arbitrary and matters not at all. But basically, there are 3 stats as this game records whenever you do a time attack. One of them is your overall time, so all 3 laps combined. Whatever your best time is for that. The other is your fastest lap, which will usually be your 3rd lap, because of suicide finisher, boost management, and all that. And the other one is completely arbitrary, and that's the highest speed you achieved. I have no idea why this game records that. It's very inaccurate, too. I have no idea. I have theories on how it calculates whatever your highest speed was, but I have no idea. So on this track, I have the highest speed achieved, and I kind of realized I have a theory on where I get it. I go right here. You're not supposed to use MTS, but I don't know why not. Like, it's pretty nice. I have the highest speed achieved on a couple other tracks, too. I think I used to have Dragon Slopes, but I think that was taken. And then I have Green Plant Spiral, which nobody's even close to that. I don't know how I did. I beat CGN by 314, which, again, sounds like it matters, but it doesn't. And speaking of CGN, so there are 3 main runners. Well, there are 2 main runners, rather. And then there's me. So, not many people run this category, or snaking, rather, very seriously. But the 2 main players that are still around today are CGN, who is really good at this game in all senses. He's got way too many max speed world records to count. And then there's Battlestream, who strictly does snaking. And then there's some other old runners, like Astro and Stiff and all that. Mang, he's also a really big runner. Old one. But he was really good. And he also does story mode snaking, which is kind of fun. It's not something like nobody does, but I enjoy it. So getting through here is really hard. Yep. And as far as I know, I do not beat CGN or Battlestream on any tracks, because they're just ridiculously good. Like, I can't compare them to anybody from any category, really, from any other game. Maybe, like, I guess Nero and Siglemic from SM64, if people even remember who that is from, like, 2012. Like, that's my best analogy for who they, like, how good they are. Like, nobody can even get close. Then again, people beat them now. I don't know. They're good. Just leave it at that. Dude, there's no way to get through there. All I do is just snake and hope. Honestly have no idea how to do that. Alright, so this next track is really scary. Kind of. It has a really cool skip on it, so I actually almost beat the max speed record there. I was only 180 off, roughly, or 110, I don't know. So I mentioned earlier that I use a mind boost on this track. Not to save speed, per se, but rather get a mine out of the way. So there's a really cool skip on this track, which I'm going to go for. And it was basically the main thing that got me started using Tornado Condor V2 over Omega Condor, because it's lighter and its air strafing is much better. And you'll see how that matters when I do it, if I do it. So there are basically 8 tracks in this game that are really difficult, or I would say they're difficult, and this is one of them. So, alright, so there's a mine right here. Let's see if I can hit it. Okay, good. Oh, shit. Okay. Ah, no! I got the mine. Cool. That's kind of what I wanted. Okay. I mean, it doesn't really matter that much. I just have to be a little bit more precise on the next 2 laps. So there's a kind of cool skip, I guess. You can call this a skip. I'm supposed to land up on that top one. It's kind of hard, depending on speed. My angle and my speed were both pretty bad, so it didn't surprise me. Alright, so let's get this, shall we? Okay, that worked. I hit a whole lot of mines instead of boosting. Like, I think I hit 3 mines. So that's kind of convenient that I did that. That's not really how I was supposed to do it. I mean, it works. So on the first lap, you're supposed to hit all the mines to get the jump. That's what it looks like if you fail. Awesome. I don't think I'm going to go for it on the latter laps. We'll see. But like I said earlier, Omega Condor, or Tornado Condor, they can both gain a decent amount of height while strafing in the air. So what I do is I strafe into that turn, and then as soon as I exit off, I'm still holding that angle, which... I still lose height? Okay, cool. I still lose height, but not nearly as fast. And there's a shift boost right at that junction right there. Or not junction, like hill, I guess. Alright, let's try this again, shall we? Ah! Oh, wow, okay. So as you saw, I hit that pipe thing. It's really annoying, and I have way too much height. It's solid for some reason, and part of that thing is not solid. So the way this game calculates whether if it's solid or not is about as random as you can get. I'm not gonna go for it. So that thing's solid right there. I guess because you can hit it without really having to do any, like, crazy tricks. Whereas that thing, you're really not supposed to be able to hit it. Alright, so that's a tolerable time. Alright, so now we're done with the first 2 cups, we have the final 3. And this first one starts off with probably the most boring track in the entire game. Then it has a track, and then it has the start of the 3 hardest. For this cup, rather. And then it's followed by another really difficult set of tracks. So this track is just a straight cylinder the entire way. So unlike F-Zero X, which wasn't shown, but it's really easy in X to fly off of cylinders. In this game, it's impossible. Which is good and bad. It's good that he can't die. However, the gravity is a lot stronger, and that means that snaking is... Okay, I don't know what that was. Snaking is kind of difficult on cylinders, and then stuff like that happens. The cylinder knot is known for having a lot of random turns for no reason at all. So basically the way you do cylinder knot, and any cylinder for that matter, is just short strafes, and kind of abusing the gravity a little bit. Oh, sweet, I got shift boost there. And it's very annoying. Cylinder Wave, which is a later track in AX Cup, is notorious for being very picky with your inputs. You can fly off super easily in max speed and in snaking, so a lot of max speed players are like, how do you enjoy snaking there? I'm like, I don't know, I'm a masochist. So this track would probably seem very boring for max speed, since all it is just basically a straight line that's curved, and all you have to really do is just hit the boost plates. Which is kind of funny, because it's actually one of the more interesting ones because of how intricate it can get. So there are a lot of hidden shift boosts that you can go for, just because of the geometry of the tracks. There's one right here. If I just hold forward, you can sometimes get it. And I'm low on health, but that doesn't really matter just because of the fact that there's nothing to hit. I mean, there are the poles at the end, but those aren't really a problem. So you can just go around them. It's a lot easier than on long pipe. Okay, I just hit both of them. And this track has a kind of interesting property. At the very end, as you saw, there's kind of like a dive off from one platform to another. So the current world records holder for this track is Brave, and he does not side attack. And before that, it was owned by Iowa, who does. And you can basically abuse the fact that the track does that, and he would go upside down, and as he fell off, the track would flip him up into the air really far, and he would side attack down. So I don't know why it does that. If you slowly go backwards off this track, from the end, you'll actually, like, glitch up onto the pipe. Okay, one more easy track. So, mentioning shift boost, this track has one of the most amount of shift boosts you can get. Unfortunately, snaking, not very possible. You can get a couple, but it's really hard. Max speed, you can get a lot of them. So it's one of the more interesting tracks. I go for a couple. I mean, there's really nothing I can do other than just get a good angle and hope. So basically, there are two types of shift boosts you can go for in this game. One where you just hit a certain part of the track at a right angle, and you'll just fall off and land right back on. So like it can look like a straight path, but just because of a slight property of the hill, you can get shift boost. The other one is where you blatantly fall off the track and come back on, which I'll try for Firefield Undulation and lateral shift. So right here, this pipe is twisted very weirdly. So if you go right here, oh, I got one actually. You're not supposed to go for them in non-boost laps, but because of the way that the track dips down, you can actually fall off for just a frame or two. When you land back on, you'll get really good shift boosts. This is one of the few tracks I have yet to be able to beat the max speed record for, just because of how well it can utilize shift boosts. And this is probably my favorite part. Okay. This section right here is one of my more favorite parts of snaking, except for this part right here. It's super easy to fly off and do whatever I just did there. So I try to take it slow when I'm being safe. And right here, you really can't snake, so... Alright, so let's go for him. Let's just hope. So as you see, okay, I got one there. So, like... Oh, I got another one. Haha. Like I mentioned earlier, shift boosts really don't matter that as much in snaking, just because you lose your speed basically instantly. Well, not basically instantly, but it's... Dude, can I not? It's a lot harder to maintain those speeds just because you have max acceleration, which means you decelerate a lot faster, too, because physics. Alright, didn't get any there. That's fine. So with a vehicle like Fat Shark, when used for max speed, since its shift boosting is pretty good, as is basically everything with Fat Shark, you can get a lot of speed there. And the world record is owned by Jake, and that's quite an old record. And, like, no one's even really close to it. Jake had 2 world records, one of which was lateral shift, another track with a lot of shift boost, and he had that for a while. He or she, we really don't know. Jake said she was a she at one point, and never really verified anything after that. So, now that that's over, we have the hardest tracks in the game all back to back. Oh, hey, R2. Yo, Brave took record? Say what? Dude, Brave did not get the record. Let's see. I have to verify this now. I am quite interested if Brave has the record for, Dude, can I not mess with my timer? Well, either way, it's a hard record to take. So this track isn't very difficult, it's just easy to die on. So basically, remember Mobius Rings, how it was just from earlier in Sapphire? That's basically what this track is, just very stretched out and goes upside down. And if you fly off, you die. This track is really easy to fly off of, as you'll see right here. So, I'm going very fast there, and if you're going anything faster than about 4 miles per hour, you're gonna fly off. So what I do is I hold the accelerator and the brake, which slows you down faster than going at very high speeds. Because if you go at high speeds, the game tries to slow you down faster, and that is awesome. So I did not hit the right one there. So that's really fun to work with. Like I said on Service Slide, it's like really the only 2 tracks that I will intentionally MTS to slow down. And right here, you can do that as well, like I said on Loot Cross. So everything kind of comes together on this track, which is what I like about it. Like, a lot of techniques come together here. Like, braking. Most people don't even know you have a brake. And I have to play it kind of safe, just because if you fly off, I have rarely ever been able to save myself. And, okay, I flew off there, and if I didn't hit the brake, I would have died. But, like, if you actually fly off, there's basically no hope. So that was a very bad lap. And on lap 3, which is what I kind of like, how lap 2 and 3 are different, which not many tracks are very different. Usually it's just boost management. You go on the different path here. For the energy. So it seems kind of counterintuitive to slow down to basically, you know, non-snaking and just holding the accelerator just to boost and then snake again. Like, it seems counterintuitive, but you have to if you want to not die, which is generally the goal. Dude, I feel bad for Jake. How does he not have any records? Dude, I feel so bad for him. Dude, ripping peaches, man. I didn't even know that. I thought I was up to date with all the records, I guess not. So I hate this track a lot. It's a pain. There's a lot of jumps. A lot of scary jumps, and basically if you get the wrong angle, you are confirmed to die. They look cool, so... That was weird. I've never gotten that much height off of that, but okay, I'll take it. So those are the 2 jumps I go for. There are more. Like, you can go for one right here, which skips a huge portion of the track. Doesn't even really save that much time. It's only done in, like, the non-boost lap. Although I don't think the current world record has it. The old one did by CGM, but then Battlestream took it. And then I found you can do, like, a jump here. I don't go for it. Because I can get a shift boost there, which is awesome. No idea why. The track dips down for, like,